Hey everybody, and welcome. With me, I have one of the people that I met during our mentorship program. Maiwand has been doing a fantastic job when working with cybersecurity topics and landing a job recently as well in cybersecurity. And he was one of the superstar students. As you know, before we've been interviewing superstar students that have been doing really, really well, either in their academic career or landing their first or second job, and Maiwand is one of these. So I wanted to get the opportunity to chat with him, have a talk with him, and have him hopefully share some of his experience, so you would hopefully benefit from it. So Maiwand, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for giving us the time, and welcome. Um, can you please just very quickly introduce yourself to our listeners? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sure. First of all, thanks to you, Tarek. Thanks first of all for your mentorship, which you provide for free. I think that's something where students have to show a little bit gratitude for that. And also, usually, I know that you're just mentoring students from the Emirates, which also makes sense because you're living there and you're working there. But first of all, thanks again for mentoring me. Otherwise, I'm living in Munich, Germany. Then to my person, my name is Maiwand. Maybe a little bit to my private background. I'm married with 3 children, and I'm studying the Master of Science in Cybersecurity. Currently, I'm finishing my degree, so I'm writing the last lines of my master's thesis, and then I will hand it in, and I will
Nice.
get rest. And yeah, I'm working, as Tarek said, I landed my first job. I'm working since 3 months at IBM as a security expert labs consultant. And they're mostly focusing on the topic of automating incident response processes for customers. So we're active here in the European region, especially in Germany and in Switzerland and in Austria. And I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
Awesome. So you're still studying and you got your first job at IBM nonetheless, which is a fairly big name in the computer world and the security world. So this is not a small feat. Not a lot of students would be able to do that. I know I was very focused on my studies when I was doing my master's, and for me to go get a job, that would have been incredibly challenging. So hats off to you. Really well done. I'm curious to know what pushed you to do that. Like, I talk a lot with students, and most of the time, what I would suggest is focus on your studies, get the studies done, and then get a job. But it seems that you're able to sort of juggle both of these. What pushed you to do that? What got you thinking, no, I want to get a job while I'm still studying?
Yeah, it was just honestly, it was this passion of this area of cybersecurity. Because, as I said, I really have in my private life, I have much things to do. I have much things which I'm struggling. I'm
Yeah.
married, I have children. Also, by the way, I'm doing also sports 2 or 3 times at least in a week because I also love sports and have my passion for it. And yeah, when I started doing my or pursuing my master's degree, I found this passion and also this passion which is living in this community of cybersecurity, and I got affected of that. And yeah, at first I was just standing there in the forest of this overwhelmed bunch of topics which come to my mind. Like at first, when you're starting as a student, you're just not sure. Should I go forward with pen testing? Should I go forward with blue teaming? Should I go forward with governance, cyber threat intelligence? There's so many topics, and I think this was also a crucial point for me that I have to decide early in my career which way I would like to go. And because of that, also, yeah, I started to work out a little bit also on Try Hack Me, have a look on Try Hack the Box. And yeah, mostly I've done Try Hack Me certificates just to get a feeling. As a beginner, it was very good and it was very good explained to me. I got my experience there, and I was sure to start in the blue teaming area, especially in the area of incident response where I'm now working in. And yeah, I thought starting early is better to applying to have much more time, and yeah, so that you can go through all of these applications, get information about the job market at your local place, what are the salaries, what can you expect, what are what are employers expecting from you, which certifications are desirable, which skills do you need. There are such a big such a bunch of things which are coming to you in the area of cybersecurity. You have to prepare for it. That would just be also advice on my side. Start early looking for jobs. You don't have to apply, but get a feeling and have a look around what they're expecting from you in order to prepare for the right job, and especially for the job that you like, because I'm sure you can't work in the cybersecurity area, especially in a technical job, when you don't got the passion for it. Because I imagine you're just sitting there in front of maybe 100,000 logs or 4,000 logs, and you have to look on it 3 or 4 hours long. You have to, you need a passion for this, to do this.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to circle back to how you got the first job and how you decided on what is it that you want to do. I just want to mention one point very quickly, which is what you did, I think, is spot on. When students come up to me, usually in the last year or about to graduate, and they tell me, look, we're about to finish university, we're about to graduate, we want to start looking for a job. What can we do? In my mind, usually what I'm thinking, I wish you started a little bit earlier. I wish you started interning a little bit earlier, finding out, discovering the market a little bit earlier, understanding what the market wants, what are the salary ranges, what are the job roles that are open, what are this one common question that always comes up is that what certificate should I go to or should I go for? Look at the job post, look at the job market. And I think what you did was spot on. So you took your time, you analyzed, you studied the market, you applied for certain jobs, and then I don't know if your intention was to land the job as soon as possible, but it happened. It happened, which is fantastic, and it happened with IBM, which is really, really great. So you mentioned to go back to the point that I wanted to circle to. You mentioned that you did a little bit of try hack me, and I think you're being modest. I know you were like one of the top 2% probably, or 1%, something like that. You were ranking really high at try hack me, and you were doing a little bit of blue teaming, a little bit of analysis and whatnot. So what ended up sort of helping you decide on what is it that you want to do? Because again, this is one of the very common questions that come up with students. There's so many things that are out there. I'm interested in so many different things. I cannot decide. I don't know what to do. So what helped you decide? Was it your own decision, conscious decision, thinking, okay, that's what I want to do? Or was it led by the job, by the market? Tell us a little bit about this, please.
Yeah, first of all, I think by myself, I had to decide what is my prior situation, what are my desires, or what am I wishing to be in, or what kind of life would I like to live in a few years, or I'm seeing myself in the future. And also the guidance from experienced professionals as you gave me really much guidance. Maybe it was just like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You just say to me some things, but these things had such a big value. Like you have to know, for example, you have to analyze what is pen testing, what is the job, and really, it's not like, is it really like you're just hacking 8 hours every day systems and then you go home and you crack the systems? No, you have to, for example, you have to write reports, you have to have customer facing, you have to talk to them, discuss with them, explaining things. So all of these points, I mentioned it, which I mentioned it, I covered them, analyzed them for myself. And yeah, I just decided for myself, yeah, this blue teaming area is, I think it's a very well paid area due to my analytics. It was the right thing for my current circumstances. Maybe some other one would like to do pen testing, but what I really, really heavily recommend is doing courses on Hack the Box or for Hack Me to get a feeling what we will do in the future. It's not like you're reading an article or do 1 hour course or workshop. You have to do it through months, I would advise. And yeah, I did it like this on For Hack Me. As I said, I ranked up to the 1%. It wasn't my intention to do this. It just happened because I worked out, I would say, trained every day for 2 or 3 hours at least after work and studies. And yeah, that would be my advice, just to see what will expect you. Look on the salary. Is the kind of working that what you would like to do? And yeah, these are things which you should consider and have and keep in mind.
So I have to say, Maiwand, like my impression right now is listening to all of this, and I know you from before, but I just want to convey this as well to everybody who's going to be watching this or listening to this, is that you come across as somebody who's put a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of time into this. You landed a job while still at university at IBM. That is no coincidence. It happened because you spent a lot of time working and developing yourself. When you're a father, you have children, you're a family man, you're still studying at university, you have some commitments, your responsibilities. And on top of all of this, you've reached the first 1%. You have done some other studies, some extracurricular activities. That means you've been working really, really hard. And this is what I want to communicate to everybody who's watching this, to everybody who's listening to this. These things don't happen by coincidence. There's a lot of hard work behind this. There's a lot of, some of you might be listening to this and you'll be thinking, oh, Maiwand got lucky, maybe because he's living in Germany or he's living wherever in Europe and there is some high demand. And yeah, but keep in mind, there is thousands of other students as well that are applying to the same jobs. Why did he get that and not somebody else? Because I know, and hopefully now you know, that he's put a lot of time, a lot of effort into this. And this is why he got to where he is right now. So speaking about your very first job, obviously you're working at a big name, large enterprise. Walk us through, and I know this might be different from one country to another, but walk us through with as much details as you're comfortable with sharing. What was the interview process? What helped you prepare for it? And then after you joined, I think you've been at the company now for about 6 months or so, maybe. What did you do in the first few months to sort of survive the job?
Yeah, I'm working there since 3 months. So I was started there at the beginning of June. Actually, the interview process I can talk about, as you said, as it's possible. So I can mention it wasn't just one interview. It was like as the usual processes. It's like screening, getting in touch with someone, from the department, or maybe just with an HR person. You will talk to them. They will screen you, have a look on your experience, have a general talk to you, and then after that there were some technical interviews, and you have to prove yourself a little bit. With foundational knowledge. It's for graduate. It depends on the company and also depends on the job. So how much knowledge they will test from you. But what I experienced also in many other application interviews, not only at this from IBM, is you need for technical jobs really deep technical knowledge in general, not like you don't have to be a professional expert of pen testing or something, because it's an entry-level job, but you need a general knowledge, foundational knowledge, and they will prove this from you. So be prepared if you're applying for technical jobs. And here it was just like I prepared for this job with the job description, as you also advised me. I had a look on the job description, prepared myself for that. Also had a big view of, I would say, I spent hours in investigating what are IBM products, what is their way of working. I searched through LinkedIn profiles, I searched through the persons who are working there, what they have done. And when I got the persons or the name from the persons which would interview me, then the first thing what I've done was analyzing this person. What have he done? Maybe did he done some research in the security area? What else was projects? How long is he working there? So what kind of person could it be which is interviewing me? And how can I prepare myself in the best way for that? So, and you will have around, I think, 1 week normally for getting the interview time. I would just say prepare, focused on the person which will face you and will ask you. And especially keep in mind the job description, because it has everything written what you know, and also keep in mind the company strategy. So because that I also experienced that a lot as I met. And that matters a lot.
Very good, specific, practical advice. I really like that. It's one of the things that I love to do as well. Whenever I have a job interview, look up the company, research the company, find out more about the people that are going to be interviewing you. This is really, really good advice, because very often they will be asking you about things that are within their area of expertise. They are comfortable. They want to ask you about. So make sure that you're prepared for this as well. So you landed the job. Congratulations. Well done. You've been in the job for about 3 months. And tell us about your first impressions. Like, did it meet your expectations? Did they just sort of throw you in the deep end and you're all on your own trying to manage yourself? Is there some kind of mentorship? What should people that are joining their very first cybersecurity job expect? And again, this is going to differ from one company to another, but generally speaking, what should they be expecting?
Yeah, there were also a reason why I also decided to start here at IBM was because from the first day on, they provide to me a mentor, so a dedicated mentor, a person who's responsible for me, and especially not for someone else. So he's just responsible for me, helps me every day. If I have some questions, maybe it's organizational, maybe it's technical, he will try to help me. And if he's not able to solve it, then he will reach out to another person which he knows. And as it's a big company, they will help you very fast. And I like that. For me, it was really important, especially in the cybersecurity area and also in the technical area of that, to have something like a guidance and a mentorship, because without that and a technical job, I'm really sure that you'll get quite fast lost in the forest. You're standing there on a job, because as a graduate, and especially in a technical position, when you have to investigate logs or investigate breaches, and or you have to set up some automated processes for incident response or maybe for pen testing, then you have to get experience from experienced professional, because otherwise the business won't work. You don't have the experience to do that. So you need a mentor. I would just advise every student or every graduate in the cybersecurity area to get a job where you get mentored, because otherwise I think it will be hard. I'm happy that I got a mentor since day one. He helped me a lot of organizational point, especially if it's a large enterprise. Yeah, we have many customers and there are so many processes which you have to follow. And also on the other side, the job is not so easy, I would say. You have to consider technical things. You have to know where you have to look up, yeah, and don't waste too much time for some topics. So, and yeah, keep this in mind and try to take in mentorship. That would be an important advice. And also try to keep in mind on certifications or education which the employer will give you, because that also that matters a lot for your future and for your education.
Excellent, excellent. Again, very, very solid advice. And that's one thing that I always tell my students: try to find a mentor, either before you get a job or during the job. One of the things that helped me tremendously when I first started my career is having a mentor. And it happened by coincidence. I didn't know about the mentorship concept and understand mentorship back then. It just that happened that I have a friend of the family that knew that I was going to study cybersecurity, where I did it in the UK, and he knew another person who graduated before me, and he sort of connected us together. And from that point on, that person became my mentor, and we've been very good friends up until this point in time. It's been like 15 years now. And this guy has helped me tremendously. He's helped me with my master's. He's helped me with getting my first job. He's helped me survive my first job. And we still, whenever there is something that's a little bit thorny, a little bit complex, that we want to have sort of two minds come together and talk about it and chat about it, he's always been there for me. So it's really, really good advice that you're giving our students. Now, talking about advice, I want to ask you about some maybe bad advice that you've received, because talking to students, they sort of receive advice, and I don't want to call it noise, but a lot of input from so many different sources, from their friends, from their family, from their professors, from social media, so on and so forth. So I'm pretty confident that at one point in time, you might have received one or two bad pieces of advice, maybe from me, maybe from somebody else. I'm curious, are you happy sharing some of these bad advices that you've received, and why do you think they were bad?
Sure, yeah. I think that's also an important point, especially that I think that's really a thing which happens to every cybersecurity student. It's just like, because this topic is so hyped, and as you said, there are so many people talking about it. Everyone has their own intentions also in talking about this. Keep this in mind, yeah. And that was also a key decision for me to decide from which person I will take advice and from which person I will take this advice, yeah. Because you have to keep in mind what is the intention of the person who's talking to you. If you have someone who's hiring you, for example, then it's totally clear that he has the intention to get you on his company and to get you working in the best way for him, for his customers, which isn't a problem, but you have to keep in mind to compare this to your own desires. Yeah, what are your wishes for your own self? So keep this in mind. What is the person who's giving you advice? What is his intention? And for me, I got many advisors, but I also asked many people. So I'm honest, I talked at least to 7 or 8 experienced professionals here in Germany, who are around, I think they have 10, or the average was 10 to 15 years experience in the pen tester market and in the blue teaming market. And the good thing there were many points which I could collect, and I saw, okay, all of them are saying the same point here, but also on the other side, there were many different things, many different opinions, and I just decided for my own, okay, this person who talked to me, what was his intentions, what kind of person is he? Maybe he just had a bad experience there. It's helpful to talk to many experienced professionals, but I think you just should talk to people who are already in this area and have a good intention for you. Keep this in mind. And yeah, like things like friends and family, I think usually they just want that you get a good job, that you're happy on the job, get a good salary, be happy in your life. And yeah, because of that, I also got some advice from people from my family, like, hey, Maiwand, don't struggle so hard. Why you're sitting there on 10 p.m. It's Friday evening, just come, let's hang around. So I can't. I have to figure out something just for my job or for my application or for my studies. Because they just told me, I just take the first job you get with good salary, but I said no, because as a person, I just want to do something which is lucrative and which is also a passion for me. And I found that in this job and also in this area.
Brilliant. That's I really like what you're saying about intentions. I personally haven't thought about this before. I assume that all people have the best of intention towards you. Maybe that's true sometimes, maybe that's not. But let's say it is. It's not enough. This is what you got me thinking right now. So maybe some people have the best of intentions toward you, your parents, your friends, your professors, etc. But that is not going to be enough sometimes. That does not really mean that they know what's best for you. Maybe they don't understand the industry. Maybe they don't understand you properly, your personality. What is it that you want? What is it that you like? So knowing yourself and what is it that you are passionate about, what you enjoy doing, I think is the very first step. And then talking to as many people as possible. And I really like what you've done, talking to 7, 8, 10 different professionals. You get the different points of view from everybody. Because remember, like you mentioned at the beginning of our chat, I'm not living in Germany. You're living in Germany. So it doesn't matter. Whatever I tell you about the market, maybe I will miss, not maybe, for sure, I will miss a point or two because I'm not living there. And it's really important to talk about people that are there in the trenches and talking to people with different levels of experience and expertise. Maybe people that are ahead of you 3, 4 years, 5 years, maybe people that are ahead of you 10, 15 years to help you plan really far ahead. So speaking of planning far ahead, last question for you is, what's your plan now? So you got your job, you're happy with doing whatever it is that you're doing. What's the plan for the next year or 2 or 5? What do you see yourself doing? Which area are you going to be specializing in?
Yeah, for myself, I decided to specialize more in the incident response area, maybe getting some certification there. But currently, honestly, I'm just exhausted by my master's thesis. It's like you have this feeling for perfection. You want to do this addition and do this and finish this. But now, as I'm at the end, I just want to write the last lines. I finished the practice part. I'm just collecting everything, writing everything down, and then I will hand this in, get some rest. But for the future, for the next 1, 2 years, my target would be just specialize more in this field of incident response, maybe getting some important certifications there. Because as I also see, and what would be advice for me, there are also here many people in Germany, for especially which I faced here, they have this mindset like you don't need certification. That's not a proof of your skills. That's not necessary. It's a wasted money. Yeah, things like this. Maybe it's in some way true, but on the other side, just look on the market. Every job description there's written, you need this, you need this. Yeah, it's just a proof of your skills. It doesn't mean that you're the best man in the world or the best pen tester in the world if you have a 10 certificate, but it's a proof of your skills. You can expect something from this person. And yeah, I think it's also good for yourself to do this, to validate your skills, because it's totally different to taking a course rather than to taking a course and then doing an exam. That really validates your knowledge, just
Absolutely.
compared to the university studies, if you're just taking a course and rather than taking a course and doing an exam.
Absolutely. All the best, man, in your plans. Any last piece of advice you want to share with our student listeners or viewers? Any last piece of opinion, advice you want to tell them?
Thank you very much. Thank you also for your time. Thank you for giving me the chance to join this interview and to share my knowledge and experience. And thank you again for your mentorship. It really helped me a lot to get this guidance every week from you. And maybe it was just 10, 15 minutes, but it helped me a lot to get this confidence and the things which I'm doing, which I've done. And yeah, maybe one advice, I think that's quite important to hear. Just keep focused on foundational knowledge. If you're applying for cybersecurity technical roles such as pen testing or maybe incident response or SOC analyst, that will help you much more, I think, rather than scripting languages like Java or Python. I think you should just learn this in general, but keep more focus on Bash, PowerShell, on the system administration of Linux or Windows, especially Active Directory, because I faced these problems. I didn't focus on that during my studies in the bachelor's, and yeah, I had to learn all of this by my own. It's not so easy. So keep focus on that if you would like to start on the technical area. And you can also correct me if I'm wrong, Tarek. You have more experience than me in pen testing. But as I experienced, these are the foundational skills which are totally necessary to get a job there.
To begin with, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Maiwand. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to share your experience with us and to give us these gems of advice for our students. I hope that the students that are listening to this, whether they are about to graduate soon or they're gonna graduate in a couple of years, they found this useful and helpful. And I truly hope that this is going to motivate you to work a little bit harder, to put a little bit more time and effort, and hopefully by the time you finish and you graduate, you will have landed the job of your dreams like Maiwand did, and hopefully we'll see you at the best of the positions. Thank you very much, Maiwand. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we will catch up soon.
Thank you. Looking forward to talk to you soon, and thank you again for your time and for your mentorship.